right, we are live on YouTube. What is up, YouTube? And we are good to go. So, Charles, whenever you're ready, let's take it away, man.
Here we go with episode 29. And I feel like we need to recap just what happened in that last episode. We need to tell the people what actually happened.
Man, life has been good. This is one of my favorite times of the year as we lead up to the draft. That's just kind of where we are at. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the draft. Depending on when you listen to this, we might even be closer. And there is just a bunch of craziness going on in the NFL. Suspensions, arrests, trades, you name it. Crazy stuff is going on. So, having said all those things, we've been talking a lot of dynasty / redraft, and we're kind of bouncing back and forth before the NFL draft. And I think we got a lot of news to get to, man. So let's jump into it, Chuck.
Well, I got to go straight at you, and I'm really sorry for this because you're my friend.
I already don't like where this is going. It's been a rough day.
It's been a rough day, but you've also been drinking, so I think you're okay.
Hashtag tequila. Y'all should sponsor me with the amount of tequila I drink. I feel like, I'm just saying, you're missing an opportunity.
Yep. No. By the way, it's not all tequila in there, right?
There's some ice.
There's some ice in there. There's nothing else.
To be honest, if we're going to play this game, it is a tequila old fashioned. I put just a couple dashes of bitters, just a little bit of simple syrup. Pour the tequila in. Hashtag Casa Amigos. What's up, George Clooney? Shake it up pretty good, and the rest is all just good times.
Yeah, that's a white guy drink that's kind of like, but I'm not that white. You know what I'm saying? There's some flavor in there. I get that.
Fair enough, man. Well, fair enough.
What I'm saying is you're cool. All right, so we've buttered you up. You're fine now. We got to talk about Reuben Foster. What is the deal with this kid, and what's really the projection of his future?
The projection of his future is under fluorescent lighting.
Oh, God.
He's going to jail. He's going to jail for a while. And there's a couple things with this case. I don't want to get too legal with this. I've been reading DA posts and all this kind of stuff from San Francisco and all this stuff going on. It actually happened in San Jose, but anyway, regardless. 3 felony charges and a misdemeanor. They're going for 11 years, and the charges have been filed. He's already been arrested. He posted a $75,000 bail, which is an additional $25,000 over the standard for what he was charged with. So the DA released some of the details of the arrest for Reuben Foster. And again, just so you understand, the biggest 49ers fan that you know, I had 3 separate Reuben Foster jerseys set to buy, authentic ones, for the NFL draft this year. Thank God I did not do so. But anyway, he beat up his girlfriend, allegedly, hitting her 10 to 11 times in the head, rupturing her eardrum. When she tried to call the police, he stopped her, dragged her outside by her hair, and left her on the side, outside of the parking lot of where they lived, supposedly. A bystander came by whenever she was on the ground bleeding and called the police, and that's kind of how she has been found. And then whenever he got arrested, on top of that, they found a gun, which I can't even pronounce, but it's like the AR-15, but on steroids. It's not even an AR-15, which is illegal in the state of California, and carries with it another felony charge, because if you hold that, when a domestic violence thing happens, it ups everything. And probably the biggest thing that has been released today is the DA, the district attorney, has, even if the victim chooses to drop the charges, we will not suspend this trial. We are moving forward. And from a 49ers standpoint, the trial and the sentencing has been postponed to April 30th due to Reuben Foster's asking, or his attorney, which means one day after the NFL draft is over, which he is doing this very intentionally. So yeah, I would not, if I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that he does not play an NFL snap within the next 3 years.
That's wild, man. I mean, what kind of mindset? I mean, obviously the abuse is one thing, but to have just like a gun like that on steroids, again, not getting
in California.
political.
Which is not a good place to have it.
I'm just saying what's the mindset behind that? I mean, what's going on?
So the problem was he was arrested 2 weeks prior to this with possession. It's marijuana, which you could say whatever you want for that down in Louisiana or Alabama. I don't remember where the arrest took place, but the fact that he was arrested 2 weeks before with an illegal substance, whatever your views are, doesn't matter. It was illegal where he was. And then 2 weeks later, this takes place. It doesn't look good. The 49ers have come out and said, we're gathering all the facts. We're going to see what happens. But I guarantee you right now, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they took a chance on this guy. They're going to wait and see what happens. You don't pick somebody 31st overall in the first round and just drop them. I wish Roger Goodell would come out and put him on the commissioner's exempt list, which we saw with like Adrian Peterson, where he's just suspended until we figure out what the hell's going on. Because right now, football is not important, and I love football. Right now, we got to figure out if this happened or didn't happen. If it did happen, he should never play in the NFL. This is way worse than what Ray Rice did.
Yeah.
It's not even close. And so that needs to be at the forefront. I care more about this kid, which I don't want to call him a kid, but he is very, very young. He's only 24. He needs to figure out how to live a healthy life. And if that's in prison till he figures that out, whatever. I believe in innocent until proven guilty. But football is not a priority right now for him or this girl that's been through this. This needs to be figured out through the legal system.
Man, I don't know what kind of blow to that whole movement if it turns out if she came out and said, actually, I'm lying, or actually, that there was proof of blackmail. And I'm saying that we should always side with that person and whatever.
Every time you side with the victim, Reuben Foster is not a victim in this situation. And the fact that she spent the entire day in the hospital with a ruptured eardrum, I think has to play a role. And then on top of that, the illegal weapon, especially in today's climate, that's the thing. It really seems like the DA is going to turn this into a landmark case to show we are not giving anybody the easy way out on this. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. And I hope the NFL does that as well. This has to stop. And here's the thing. I'm a huge 49ers fan, and I will continue to support them. But what message does that send to my 9-year-old son or my 14-year-old son if I'm sporting this guy's jersey and he is proven guilty? So that's about kind of – it's funny. I lost a lot of followers on Twitter today because I put that out there. And that's okay. Like, I'm totally cool. I'm not in this for followers or money.
Well, we're not average fans either. I mean, that's just the truth.
Yeah, you're probably corrected that in many ways.
It's a little bit different. That's all. So moving on, because but staying inside of that though, there's another guy, Burfict. I say his name correctly.
Yeah, Vontaze Burfict.
Man, he's always in it, and it seems like too. Like here comes the suspension. He's got an annual suspension. He really only plays 12 games a year. I mean, this guy just takes a little bit of a longer vacation than everybody else.
So he has played 6 NFL seasons, and he has played 1 full season out of those 6.
And he hated that season. He was like, that's too much work.
Yeah. And in 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons, he has missed 5 or more games. So you are correct. Out of Arizona State, he's a mean man, and he's the guy that Juju Smith laid out last year and stood over him and got suspended for, but he got suspended again. I would not be surprised if he gets cut. Cincinnati was trying to unload him before this appeal was sent out because he was suspended last year for drug use, whatever, and then appealed it and it got postponed. And so it seemed like Cincinnati was trying to trade him before this was almost like they had insider information. But again, there's not a lot of teams like Cincinnati and the Dallas Cowboys that want to take these guys with the baggage that they have.
Right.
So.
Well, so on the opposite end of that, then you've got a guy who's got like tact and class and all that, a long history of it, and now Thomas Davis has got a suspension.
Man, if you watch his video, you feel for him.
Right. Yep.
Supposedly it's a supplement that he's been taking for 4 years straight, but it was an estrogen blocker, which naturally pushes your body to put out more testosterone. But I mean, it's listed. I'm not an NFL player, but I've read the list of prohibited substances, and it's on there. So I don't know. Thomas Davis, awesome guy, NFL Man of the Year. Walter Payton Man of the Year, finalist, so on and so forth. Amazing man, but this is a bummer. He's older, been through so many injuries. But yeah, it's something you got to put up with. It's kind of what it is.
Okay, surprise trivia question. Ready?
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, this is episode 29, and you have to think of the greatest player to ever wear the number 29 in NFL history in 15 seconds.
Gosh, I'm going to lose this, man. Oh, man, this is sad. Nothing is coming to mind, and that breaks my freaking heart. So let me just go off the top of my head for the 49ers. Man, we got Jaquiski Tart. Eric Berry? Where's number 29? Is that right? I know that Cohen wears number 29 right now. Damn it.
Yeah.
Let me go through my head. Hold on. This is very stressful. Man,
I'm letting you see it.
I have a couple guesses, but I think that I'm going to be wrong on one. Marshall Faulk was 28. I know that, man. Okay, I'm going to take a 50-50 here. Curtis Martin or Eric Dickerson wore 29. One of them wore 28. I think Dickerson was 28. And I think that Curtis Martin was 29. I'm going to say Curtis Martin for $500, Alex.
I'm sorry. The answer was, what is Eric Dickerson?
Oh, man. I'm from Texas, man. And I love Eric Dickerson. Man. Oh, man. I failed. I failed you, Texas.
It's okay. So let's get into free agent wide receivers that are going to change the game. I know you're going to be, that was your first one wrong ever. That's why it's bothering you.
Well, I mean, I loved Curtis Martin, and for some reason I see a 29. Maybe I'm dyslexic. I am dyslexic. That's not a maybe, but I don't know. I'm trying to justify this. I feel really bad that I missed the Texas guy. That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, for sure. Double points tonight for me. But but anyways, wide receivers that are going to change the game, free agents. So let's talk about probably the highest potential one, I would say at this point, what just happened today. Made no sense in my world why the Bears wouldn't match such a low contract for Cameron Meredith. I don't understand that move.
Man, Cameron Meredith. So if you go back to what Cameron Meredith did a few years ago, he came out and just looked awesome and had so many games where he was just over 100 yards or a touchdown. If you go back to 2005 and 2006, and everybody thought that he was going to be the guy for the Bears last year. Injuries crept up, just didn't work out. I don't understand. He's 26 years old and has put together almost 1,000-yard season with 4 touchdowns. This is unreal to me. I understand, and I love what the Bears have done with the wide receiver position and all that they have added. Obviously, signing Allen Robinson, which was one of my favorite targets. I really wanted him to go to the Niners, and turns out they didn't even make an offer towards him. And then they also brought over the slot receiver from the Falcons. Goodness, his name is away from my head right now. The little speedy guy that Cleveland. Yeah, there you go. Taylor Gabriel. So, and they're going to give Kevin White another chance. The number 7 overall pick a few years ago that's been through some injuries. So that seems like that's going to continue. And they just didn't have a place for this guy, which is crazy. I love Cameron Meredith whenever it comes to dynasty or even redraft. Like, I think he's a guy that you can pick in that flex range and hope for upside, because he's going to be starting opposite Michael Thomas. Ted Ginn might stick around, maybe. But still, he's going to be playing that Willie Snead role, and the targets are going to be there.
Yeah. No, I love him. I think he's probably got the highest potential out of all those guys that have moved. But another guy who could rival him is Jordan Matthews. When I saw that signing, I was like, well, there it is. There's the one that they always make, and they always get some upside, for low dollars. And you're like, stupid Patriots. How do you do that? He's going to be a problem. I think that Tom's going to learn how to use him. I think that his possession in the middle of the field almost creates like a double tight end set between Matthews and Gronkowski. I think you could be looking at some huge numbers for Jordan Matthews.
Man, so I don't know. I think that he's going to get played, but the thing that the Patriots do is they do not highlight a specific receiver. Brandon Cooks barely passed 1,000 yards last year, and he's not Brandon Cooks. He's not going to be playing the same position as Brandon Cooks.
Okay, but Tom Brady has gone in and out of that. All right, there's years where he really targets guys, Randy Moss, obviously, and there's times when he doesn't. But I think if he found, because Jordan Matthews is a fantastic route runner, excellent hands. Rarely, even when a cornerback is slapping at his hands, does he drop it. He's just not vertical. I mean, that's his issue. He just doesn't get down the field like he should.
And I'm with you. I mean, shoot, he's related to Jerry Rice. I've been high on this kid out of Vanderbilt in the second round, and when he went to Philly, I told you should be pumped.
Was it second or fourth?
Second round. You guys got him in the second round, back half. But the idea is, no, I don't think Tom Brady highlights certain guys. Julian Edelman has topped 1,000 yards twice in the last 5 years. Outside of that, you got Gronk. That's it. Brandon Cooks once, and that's it. Like, he is not a huge targeted guy, and I don't think Jordan Matthews is going to be that. They signed him to a minimum $1 million deal. Like, it's a prove-it deal, which is wonderful for the Patriots, and I could totally see him having 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. Well, but where does that fit in fantasy?
Okay. Mark it down right here, right now, that Jordan Matthews could be a top 12, nay, top 10 wide receiver in terms of fantasy points.
All right. You tell me whatever you want to bet. I'm feeling this one, man.
Obviously you're feeling this one. This is I'm saying that I'm in the way minority, but that I have the NFL vision to the future.
Okay, so hold on. Let's just pop it down to 12. Or actually, let me give you 13. I'll give you 3 extra spots. So if Jordan Matthews finishes at 13 and above, you win. Name your prize. I don't even care.
Okay,
if he finishes below, that's me. So I'll allow you to think about that if you would like to. I would think carefully, my friend.
Right, because I'm saying that it's not the percentages are not in my favor for this, but I'm saying that I'm guessing it's going to happen. But okay, no, let's agree to something because I'm feeling strong now. So top 13, top 13 for Jordan Matthews. Oh, I'm going to say, what are we going to do here?
Oh man, I'm just so excited at this moment right now. Well, also, while he is thinking, I would like to let everybody know during this break that this break is sponsored by Smirnoff. Smirnoff Ice. Charles Barr will be drinking a 6-pack of Smirnoff Ice because he lost his fantasy championship to yours truly. So we just want to let you know that we have not forgotten about that, and it is on its way. So, Charles, can you think of the bet that you would like to make now?
I think that since you just sponsored Smirnoff Ice, I feel like more drinking is involved here.
I love it, man. And I think like we're legally capable to not do that, but
okay, so here's what I'll propose. Each person has the ability to set up 6 any shots of their variety. So like you tell me like what it is, I'll get the ingredients to make that. Okay. And
so I don't like mixing alcohol because that's dangerous. So if I'm doing the shots, I pick my alcohol, correct? Or no?
No, I'm gonna pick your alcohol.
How many shots?
6. That just do it.
I will. Man. As long as it stays clear or dark. Man, that's terrible, dude. Could you imagine doing? I don't want to be that mean to you. So I'm thinking. Here's my mindset. You've already lost this bet, and I'm trying to be nice to you. I don't want to be mean to you. So 6 of whatever shot you want me to drink in a row is cool. So I'll do 6 of the terrible shot, whatever. I don't care. But I don't want to change 6 shots. Like I don't want to do 2 rum and 2 whiskey and 2 tequila because then I'll die.
Well, how about we just keep it? If it's all clear, and all dark, all dark. How about that?
Yeah, I hate this. And I feel really good about this, but
yeah, there we go. We got some kind of weird drinking bet now. So,
all right, Jordan Matthews finishes top 13 or above. I'll let you call it standard PPR or full point, half point. What do you want?
I'm gonna say,
you're thinking about it. This is great.
Say half point PPR.
Ooh, all right. I'll give you a hedge in your bets. Half point PPR, 6 shots, all clear, all dark. And Jonathan is taking the over. Oh my gosh.
Should that mean that like you have more shots than me, though?
I gave you 3 spots, my friend.
All right. Then I'll give you 2 more shots.
You want to back it down to 14th? I'll give you 14th or above. How about that?
Good. Let's move on. All right. So we said his name just a few seconds ago, maybe a minute ago. Brandon Cooks. Do you think that what just happened to this guy has just sort of been unfortunate? Because it's weird, right? There's something to this.
I don't think that you're right. He's been on 3 teams in 3 years. And so that's got to be an issue. However, I don't think that this was a Patriots are trying to get rid of Brandon Cooks. I don't think that's what it is. I think this is the Saints tried to get Brandon Cooks last year. We know that now. That got leaked out that they were trying to trade for him last year from the Saints, and they lost. The Saints, the Rams seem to be allergic to draft picks, and they don't have a pick till the 3rd round this year. They traded a 2nd for Sammy Watkins and let him go. And then they traded a 1st for Brandon Cooks on the last year of his rookie deal. What the hell?
Yeah. I think right now it's sort of like what happened to the Eagles. What was that, 8 years ago? Or sometimes as a GM, they start feeling themselves in the wrong way. Like, this is the year, this is the time, I got to make moves. And it feels like that GM knows he's got an amazing team right now. But I think that they're trying to add so much juice, but not paying attention to the long-term game. I mean, that's essentially how I see it.
Right. I dislike it. With the salary cap implications that they have now, they're going to have to re-sign him next year for a lot of money or franchise him at around $16 million. Plus, you have Aaron Donald that's done. Todd Gurley's going to be done soon. They don't have a lot of cap room. They're trying to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, and if not, they're going to have to blow up that team.
And I think it's going to be really telling, even with their draft picks, what they're going to address and what they know that they need to replace and or let walk. Because, hey, at a certain point in time, you get near that salary cap line, just like the Eagles, and they've got no room to move. So then you got to start hoping draft picks work out. Yeah. All right, we kind of talked about wide receivers a little bit, and I think we just kind of keep it moving on. Let's kind of go to switch modes real quick, because John is a man of many trades, and one of them is redraft and whatever. But I want to get into Dynasty right now, which is a version of fantasy football that I've never played before. This is my first year, and it's just different. It's a different economy. It's a different way of thinking, and I love it already. It's like another mode to a video game that you've been playing. You're like, oh, this is awesome. So let's talk about the top 12 guys that you have in the Dynasty rankings this year.
Okay, so yeah, love fantasy. I love Dynasty. It's fantasy football on steroids, and I host another podcast. I don't host, but I'm an analyst. I don't host anything. I'm not as talented as at host Chuck B. But yeah. Head over to Eat Sleep Fantasy as well. We put out a lot of content over there. It's great stuff. It's a lot of fun. Now, my question for you, Chuck, and we didn't talk about this beforehand.
Okay.
PPR or standard or half point? I have my top rankings for each one. I just wasn't sure where you wanted to go.
What's our league?
Our league is half point PPR,
Right.
so that's half point per reception.
Do that one.
Okay, so half point PPR, number one in every dynasty rookie draft. Again, this is rookie draft, so all the people from last year are still on roster. So LaShawn McCoy, Le'Veon Bell, they're gone. These are just rookies that are coming into the league. And this is, again, you're guessing a lot because they're not on teams yet. So you're just going off potential. Number one, Saquon Barkley, whether it's standard, PPR, half point, doesn't matter. The running back out of Penn State is just unreal. I hate doing all the player comparisons, but he's LaDainian Tomlinson. They have the exact workout numbers. Saquon Barkley is going to be unreal this upcoming year.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch him, but I traded that draft pick away, so let's not talk about him anymore. Let's move on. Number two.
Number two is going to be Sony Michel out of Georgia. Absolutely love this kid, running back. He's your perfect third down guy. He can do everything. He's going to be on every team's big board. He can be a first and second down banger. He can be the third down specialist that catches, or he could be a 3-down workhorse. He can do everything. Absolutely love that guy. Then we get into wide receivers. Cortland Sutton is my number one wide receiver. Love that guy out of SMU. He's built just like AJ Green. He had very similar comparables. Made the SMU basketball team as a freshman. Just absolute freak athlete. His 40 time wasn't the best, but still the best wide receiver. After that, I got Anthony Miller out of Memphis.
Oh, man. A lot of people I'm just going to say people are disagreeing with you on this one. So let's make a note of it, because last year we didn't have a podcast to talk about Kareem Hunt, where John was saying way in advance how well this guy would do. Are you willing to say that this is your guy, that you're willing to stake he's the number 2 guy in the draft?
For wide receivers, I'm totally cool with that. And
okay.
The problem is, and a big reason why people don't know about him is because he's coming off of an injury and he's a little bit older. And so he was a former walk-on that went to Memphis, and he's 5'11", 201. So the playing style, I have him as a poor man's Antonio Brown. So a lot of people that base their stuff now is off of combine and pro days and all that stuff. And if that's what you're doing, you don't even know who Anthony Miller is. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, this kid scored 32 times the last 2 seasons. He plays every single wide receiver position already. Left outside slot on the right side, right outside. He plays everywhere. He runs the full route tree. He is an absolute route specialist with great hands. And so that's why I think that this guy in a half-point PPR, he's going to get the catches. It doesn't matter where he goes. Any team in the NFL, he will be a starter day one, and he's healthy now. And again, he runs a full route tree. Love this kid, Anthony Miller. Go get him in every single league that you have. You will not be disappointed.
There you go. I mean, if anybody's listening, then there's the play, right? Like if you're in the draft, obviously everyone in our league knows because of this, but go get that guy. I mean, why not? I mean, if you have the ability, if you're not 1 or 2 or whatever, go get this guy. And I think that surprised a few people with that pick.
I don't care. I mean, in all my leagues, this is going to be my first round draft pick because I pick at the end of the first round. And people don't, I mean, that's the thing. They're sleeping on him. I see people having him go in the second round, but this is a guy that put up back-to-back years over 1,400 yards. I mean, it's unreal. Plus, you add what he can do in the return game, makes it even better. This guy is special. Love Anthony Miller. Go get him, go get him, go get him. Now,
NFL team, sorry, let me tell you one more thing. What NFL team would you think like he would really fit in well with? Like and has a potential maybe to go there?
So you're looking at the second round. That's kind of where he's going to be. And that's rough because you want him to go to a place where he's going to have an opportunity. I think a place like Baltimore would be perfect. Dallas would be great. Indianapolis would be wonderful. Arizona. There's so many spots that this kid could go to where he's going to be a day one starter. So you look in that middle round, kind of picks 46 to 55. That's where he is going to be. And as I look at the draft order, I think Buffalo would just be perfect. You got Zay Jones on the outside, and in 2 wide receiver sets, you would put Zay Jones or Kelvin Benjamin and Anthony Miller out there. And you could slide them in the slot to make sure that you still have all 3 of your studs out there as well. So Buffalo would be a perfect spot. I really think so, especially if they draft a quarterback in the first round, which I think they will do.
And I think that when you have a guy who can work the slot well, which the film that I've watched him, I'm like, oh, you know, he kind of runs routes a little bit like Nelson Aguilar, where they're just smooth.
And I think also that was the dirtiest saying in the 29 episodes of fantasy football. A guy that can run the slot well.
Yeah, got it. Good one. He said tequila, everybody.
Just saying.
Just throwing that out there. That was funny to him. Nobody else picked up on it.
I can't help it, man. It's just what's happened. All right, let's move on. Number 5, I got Dante Pettis. Again, another solid route runner receiver out of Washington that catches everything and runs the full route tree. That is very important because you look at guys like Laquan Treadwell, Mike Williams, John Ross, the people that have a hard time getting on the field their rookie year, it's because they don't know how to run routes and they can't get separation. This is why I like guys like Anthony Miller and Dante Pettis, because that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, and I think that they have the ability to slide in drafts, especially in Dynasty, because this is your rankings, not necessarily what is actually going to happen inside of Dynasty,
right?
In terms of the ADP. But you're sliding some folks. Like there are some people who are not on your list right now, and other people are going to jump up there and grab. One guy that is not on your list that I'm noticing is Kirk from A&M.
So I love Christian Kirk. I really, really do. And I think that he is a big play waiting to happen. That's kind of who he is. I think he's a natural slot position. I have him as my number 9 person going. So real quick, let's just round out the rest of this and you pick and choose who you think we should talk about. Number 6, I got Calvin Ridley. I think a lot of people will be taken 1st through 3rd overall. I do not want to do that. I got John Kelly, running back out of Tennessee, then Christian Kirk, as you mentioned, at 9. Michael Gallup, a complete receiver out of Colorado State. Ronald Jones, and finishing up with Kerryon Johnson.
Talk to me about Ronald Jones. I almost feel like, does he have the lowest floor of all of the running backs?
He's smaller. He runs big, but he's smaller guy. And so I think this is rough. Plus, again, you have another guy, just like Anthony Miller, that got injured and didn't do well. He ran a 4.65 40 at the combine because he pulled up on his very first 40. But he is the definition of a guy that runs through arm tackles. He's 5'11", 205, very strong lower body, probably the best short yardage back in the entire draft. And he's not big, but just because he hits the hole hard. He stutter steps, but not to juke defenders, just to get them off balance and then run through their arm tackles. So
yeah, he's got some Joe McKnight potential to me. Because
I think with the USC, you can see that. He doesn't have the wiggle that he had.
Saying that the bust potential, but and the thing, because I've heard his name for a while, like I've heard people talk about him, but you know, just like Joe McKnight, he got all that praise, and then he got to the next level. It was too small. It's not like Darren Sproles shift that we're talking about here. We're talking about having to meet people in the hole, and I just don't know if I see it in him. He's somebody who scares me.
I'll say this: as I go through his film and I watch his film, you never see anybody get a full hit on him. Like Joe McKnight, so just stay, we haven't talked about this obviously, but Joe McKnight would try to juke and make like a highlight reel of them falling on their butt or something like that, which doesn't happen in the NFL. What Ronald Jones does, and if you see him, he's rocked out of his mind. I mean, he looks like a freaking bodybuilder, and he jukes them to run through their arm tackles. And he's not going to do that as well at the NFL level. But, man, I would say he's got a little bit more Jamal Charles / Larry Johnson in him. Just a crazy strider that is powerful. And his weight it's not up there. But, man, he he probably has the most broken arm tackles of anybody in the NCAA last year. I mean, it's unreal, man.
It's a strong running back class. I mean, would you
It really is. It's probably one of the strongest ones we've had last year and this year are probably top 2 in the past decade.
The wide receivers a little bit down this year. No superstars.
Big time down. No superstars. I like Cortland Sutton more than most as far as NFL potential. A lot of that's because of his attitude and raw potential. He's only played wide receiver for 3 years, basketball player, came as a safety, so on and so forth, but competes. He's a man.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited about this draft that's coming up, but you've studied more film than anybody I know. What's the position group that maybe people don't know is actually as strong as it is?
For fantasy purposes, running back is huge. For NFL purposes, the interior offensive linemen. Guards and centers are off of the charts. There are so many that will be going in the first and second round. And also cornerbacks. I think corners are super stacked. They don't have the elite corners like we had last year, but I think that there's a solid, 3. I'm looking at my chart now, 5. I'm talking 9 corners going in the first 2 rounds. I mean, it's insane. Quarterback as well. I think there's going to be at least 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. You just look at the quarterback needy teams in the NFL. There are so many. I tweeted this out earlier today, but just let me talk through it. The teams that must have a quarterback, the Browns at 1 and 4, the Jets at 3, the Bills at 12 and 22. Those are the picks they're picking at, and the Cardinals at 15. So that's 4 that have to get a quarterback. Not necessarily first round, but whatever.
Yeah.
Then you look at teams that will need a quarterback in the near future. They got an old starter, whatever. The Giants at number 2, Eli Manning. Ravens at 16. Gosh, Flacco's terrible. Chargers at 17, really old. Patriots at 23 and 31. They've got to get a new quarterback, and they have shown repeatedly they will draft a quarterback high. Saints at 27, where I think Lamar Jackson goes, spoiler alert, and the Steelers at 28. Then there's a whole nother bracket. Teams that are not sold on their current quarterback situation. The Broncos at 5. Are you happy with Case Keenum being your long-term plan? I don't think so. Dolphins at 11 with Ryan Tannehill. Bengals at 21. Jaguars at 29. That's 16 separate teams. Man, it's going to be a QB heavy draft.
How about a guy who hasn't been in all this buzz of those 6 or 7 guys, but how about a QB in the later rounds that's got a chance to be good?
Kyle Lauletta. He jumps off the page for me from Richmond, smaller school, the Spiders. I really think, and this is probably bad of me to say this, but as I watched his film the whole time, I'm thinking like, man, I hope this guy goes to the Patriots. Man, I hope this guy goes to the Patriots. And so Kyle Lauletta is a guy that I would look for. I think he could go as early as the end of the second round, but could fall into the 4th round. So there's a lot of guys out there that you just got to wait and see. Another one is Austin Allen, the big quarterback out of Arkansas that everybody was talking about last year, 2 years ago when he was a freshman, when he was a sophomore, but he just never put it together. But all the traits are there. So those are 2 guys that I'm if they land in a right spot, I think we could hear about them again.
I've got a surprise segment. Are you ready?
I just perked up a little bit. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, here we go. Surprise segment is all about John Chapman. Get to know the analyst. Here we go. Who is the greatest NFL coach, in your opinion, of all time?
Bill Walsh.
Who is – wait, this is better. What's the best jersey that's ever been in the NFL? Best looking jersey in the NFL.
So team-wise?
Team-wise, man.
Just the NFL.
Yeah. That's what we cover. We don't do the
okay, we're going with the old Chargers, Columbia blue with the yellow bolts. Oh my freaking gosh. We're talking Dan Fouts. We're going old school. Love those uniforms. And probably one of the best things I've ever seen in my life is when LaDainian Tomlinson, Texas guy,
Woo!
They had a throwback game. I think it was in 2004 or 5, and they donned those bad boys, and he had 3 rushing touchdowns. I was livid, and I am not a Chargers fan.
Oh man, that though. I mean, if you say anything other than that jersey, then I don't know. Just don't trust you. I think we
love it, man. Absolutely love that jersey.
See things differently. All right. Well, I gotta say that I agree with you, but shout out to the Steelers. Now the Steelers have a ton of cool jerseys, and the Bears got one that I think is pretty dope, and then the Eagles, Kelly Green. Yes, yeah, boy. All right, more quiz questions for you. All right. Greatest QB to ever do it.
I'm going Joe Montana, undefeated in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, I get it. But I just think Joe Montana going 4-0 in the Super Bowl is insane. I understand the Tom Brady arguments, but if I got to pick a QB, I'm going Joe the GOAT, man.
All right. Last question, and it's a 2-parter. Which coach do you look up to, and actually not just look up to, but and I'm saying that in terms of scheme, like somebody you respect that you want to learn from? I want you to pick a guy at the NFL level, and I want you to pick a guy at the college level.
All right. Yeah. So right off the bat, not necessarily look up to, but I love how Bill Belichick, whenever I coached back in the day, the one thing that I love that Bill Belichick does is whatever you're good at, I'm taking that away, and you're going to have to be creative enough to go off script to beat me. And I love that. I'm going to find your weakness and exploit that, and whatever you're great at, I am taking that away. The college level, man, I absolutely love Chris Peterson of Washington. Whenever he was Boise State for the longest time and all the different things that he did. Man of principle, man of ethics. Can't say that about Bill Belichick, and I never will. But just an amazing human being.
Suck it, Belichick.
Sorry. Belichick's a dick, man. Let's just be really, really honest.
Suck it, bro.
But amazing. So, like, that's just who he is. He cheats, whatever else, but he's amazing. And so Chris Peterson of Washington, absolutely love that guy and what he's done. Tony Franklin at Penn State, I think, is a hell of a coach, especially on the offensive side. X and O's why. And what a little tidbit about Tony Franklin. He will not hire an assistant coach that does not have an attractive wife, because he says you cannot sell yourself to high school boys to recruit if you cannot sell yourself to the opposite sex. And those are kind of words to live by, in my opinion.
Wow. I mean, they got to bring like a headshot of their wife or something.
Everybody's got Facebook and Instagram. I'm just saying.
It's like Hooters. It's so wild.
They've done really well at Penn State, even after all the,
Yeah. Okay. There's on HBO, sponsored by HBO. All right. That's going to get on our sponsor, Smirnoff and HBO today. Bonus question sponsored by.
Oh, geez. Let's just move on.
But I do have a bonus question. Here we go.
Oh.
Out of the past 10 years, how many times has a quarterback who came out of the first round won the Super Bowl?
$10 years? You said past 10 years?
Yep.
One? Aaron Rodgers. I think that's
to win.
No. Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger. Oh my gosh. I'm going 5 off the top of my head. I think that's it.
And no, one more. The Sheriff.
I don't know who that is.
Peyton Manning.
That was in 10 years. He wasn't drafted in the. He
was drafted in first round, man.
No, but I was saying that was 30 years ago.
No, it wasn't, bro. Dude, that was 5 years ago.
He graduated high school when FDR was president.
Jesus, I got him, guys. This is 2. Boom, boom. Killing him on the.
Yeah.
All right, man. Talk to me about some running backs that we're going to switch modes. We're going to go leave Dynasty for a bit. I want you to kind of get back into redraft mode. And what are some fantasy running backs that people are sleeping on that could have higher potential than the rankings that you're seeing?
Absolutely love Kareem Hunt again. I understand that people aren't as psyched about him, and I'm seeing him drop in a lot of different things. Love that guy, Kareem Hunt. I think Dalvin Cook is a huge surprise just because if you look at what Kirk Cousins has done for running backs whenever he's there and with Minnesota, I think Dalvin Cook's going to be awesome. I'm fading Alvin Kamara a little bit. He's my number 10 running back, so I still love him, but the volume is just not there. Jordan Howard, huge buy now, buy low guy that people are fading on. He's 23 years old. Like the guy is insane. Jerick McKinnon, Chris Thompson needs to be up really, really high. So these are a couple of guys that kind of stand out. Deontay Foreman, just going off the top of my head here. These are guys that I am focusing on, younger guys that could see a huge uptick in carries and can continue to be kind of a mainstay or take over the solidified starter or questionable starter in that situation.
What about some vets? I mean, I think that's what's hard to take, control of at that point, because you don't know exactly what they've got left in the tank.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of that has to look at who falls in the draft. So let's say Detroit, for example, just signed LeGarrette Blount. Obviously, they're always going to have their third down guy and Theo Riddick. But LeGarrette Blount, if for some reason the Detroit Lions do not sign a huge rookie in the first, second, or third round, LeGarrette Blount is a guy that I want to buy. Peyton Barber. The Tampa Bay Bucks are going to get a running back, but are they going to get two? That's a guy I want. Frank Gore. Frank Gore is going to have a huge role in Miami as long as they don't add another running back to Kenyon Drake. If it's just Kenyon Drake and they get a guy in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, then I love Frank Gore. He's finished in the top 24 last year, finished in the top 12 the year before. I understand he's old, but he has a role. Giovanni Bernard. If there's lots of guys that are there that it depends on the competition factor and draft capital. I think one thing that fantasy players don't understand when they draft is draft capital. And what I mean by that is the money and or the draft value that the team they are on gives towards positions reflects how the coaching staff feels about the current players on the roster. So what I mean by that, let's look at LeGarrette Blount. If the Lions take a running back 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, you got to fade LeGarrette Blount because they love Theo Riddick. He's young. They've re-signed him, so on and so forth. But if they wait till the 6th round to draft a guy, you got to bump him up because that's saying that the current coaching staff and GM believes that Blount can be successful with where they are.
Yeah, you sold me on Blount for sure. I mean, he didn't slow down at all. I mean, you thought maybe from the Patriots that then come into the Eagles that he'd slow down. But I'll say though too that the way that Deuce Staley runs those running backs, they're spelled all the time so that they stay fresh during the season. So I think that he benefited from that. So I really like him, but I just worry about that Lions O-line. I mean, he's not running behind the Eagles anymore. They were PFF's number 1 offensive line last year.
Yeah, and I mean, they called it too. PFF did. They said you guys were the number 1 before the year. I remember we argued about it. And Blount, it just specifically, he was a guy that I told you to get rid of just because of what we saw in the preseason.
Talk about how you're wrong. Yes.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm not a prideful man. Actually, I am. I'm pretty awesome. But anyway, I was wrong because I hated the way they were using them, and they changed the way they used them. They started moving them north and south instead of sideline. I don't understand that sideline scheme with LeGarrette Blount. So I don't know. I think it's opportunity is king in fantasy football. If players get the carries, it doesn't matter how old or how bad you are. Look at Frank Gore. I love him. I don't think he's bad, but he's a 3.5 yards per carry guy. But he keeps your quarterback upright because he's so amazing in pass protection. So if you are on the field and you get the carries, you will have fantasy value, and that's what it's about.
All right, man. I got one last segment for us today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, man. I want to hear about you kind of were talking a little bit earlier, then we cut it off because I was like, this is too good. Save it for the podcast. But there was a crazy Josh Rosen interview, and I just think it's time sensitive. The draft is in 2 weeks. John and I are going to be there. Tell me why you love this kid. Tell me about that interview.
So one, you need to understand Josh Rosen is the number one player on my board as far as the draft goes. I absolutely love this kid. 59 touchdowns to 26 interceptions. Picture perfect rhythm passer. And lots of people have given him slack for who he is off of the field, for how smart he is, how much he might not care about football. He's an atheist, so on and so forth. An article came out on ESPN this week, an interview where they just asked him a bunch of questions. And if you listen to and or read, man, this kid comes across as just, he's a freaking intelligent human being that just wants to know why. And Jim Mora said that, and Jim Mora is an idiot. But one thing that Josh Rosen talked about is his offensive coordinator at UCLA would have a time where before practice, Josh Rosen would show up and he would say, okay, these are the plays we are running. Let's go back and track where these plays originated from, who designed them, and why they designed them. And that was Josh Rosen's favorite part of the week, because he wanted to know the coach that designed this for this play. You are talking about a guy that does advanced calculus when it comes to football. I mean, just insane. His understanding not only of football, but things outside of football. This is a guy that wrote a 60-page paper on how to fix NCAA football with the amateurism status and how to pay college players, and solved it. Like that, this kid's unreal. And if you look at this guy and say, oh, well, he's too smart, he has other interests, whatever, that's totally BS. This is a guy that understands not only football, but man, his passion is who writes a 60-page paper on this? And then,
I mean, yeah,
who does it?
Even if he was atheist, I mean, you've got to be a nihilist to be on the Patriots, so he'd fit in.
And the thing is, like he says, like, I consider myself an agnostic, but there's so many things tied with that, so I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anybody else is wrong. All I want to say, this is Josh Rosen's words, I just want to say I don't know, and I'm trying to figure it out. And if you go back and read the thing, the awesome thing is he goes, can you please tell me, he asked the interviewer, can you please tell me about your relationship with God and what you believe in? Because I don't know what I believe, and I'm trying to learn from other humans. I don't know. This guy has so much to like.
I think that sometimes what happens is that people aren't used to different types of leaders. And I think that he kind of sounds like a different type of leader. And, you know, people are used to the traditional alpha male, scream at him, all that whole thing. And look at the flack that they gave Eli Manning. Do I think he's one of the greatest QBs ever? No, I don't. Do I think he's a good QB, even maybe a great QB his Super Bowl years? I do. But they gave him the same flack. He's not screaming your face Tom Brady. That's just not who he is. So get over it.
Amazing human. Eli Manning has done so much for his community. And my player comparison from day one for Josh Rosen has been Eli Manning. And the interviewer asked him, this is the last time I talked about the article, they asked him, like, are you going to speak up and all these things when you're drafted? He goes, well, I'm not going to speak up, but the first thing I'm going to do is get active in my community and figure out how I can help people. Like, how could you knock that? Like, why is that a bad thing? We have people like Reuben Foster and these other people that are in the news for hurting others and legal troubles. You have a guy that just wants to go help people. His father was on the finalist list for Obama's Surgeon General.
Yeah, but but listen to this though. I mean, I think I kind of think that we're touching on another nerve in the fact that maybe we draft people, or the psyche behind that is that you don't want people who are going to be that active. You don't want them to be that autonomous because they've got to represent a brand. And so
I say bullshit to that, man. I say bullshit. Sure. These are people throwing a freaking inflated football to other people that are going to do a pony dance when they catch it in the painted area of the field. Yeah. I love football, and I'm not trying to minimalize it, but it's trivial at best. And I have coached, I have played, I have written, I have podcasted, and I absolutely love it. But at the end of the time, you're throwing a freaking ball. Why not help people?
For sure. I mean, essentially, what sports boils down to is greatness in terms of athletic ability. People want to know the fastest, the most agile, the intelligence that comes with that, the teamwork that, comes from that, that's so creative, and then the strategy. I mean,
Yeah.
it keeps the mind sharp. It keeps us focused on the human image and healthiness and all that. I mean, if you think about what sports represents, and they can still do all those things, meet the function of sports entertainment, and have voices about issues that are going on, at least that they perceive. Because guess what? Some of these guys are not geniuses. Some of them think the earth, some of them don't think the dinosaurs existed.
Jared Goff, like that's a thing. I mean, the exact opposite of Josh Rosen is Jared Goff, and he's been successful, and I get that.
I mean, so, it's just hard to slight those guys. So,
yeah, I'm with you, man. And you got to pick your poison. And the one thing I will say again about Josh Rosen is he said, I don't want a team not knowing what they're getting. And if you don't like who I am, I don't want you to draft me. Like, I'm not changing who I am. I will give everything I got, but like, you're going to know what I got. And we talk about like Johnny Manziel. He came out last week and said, well, the Browns should have known I don't watch film. It's their fault. What a douchebag.
Right.
What a douchebag. It's the Browns' fault.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that guy, man.
It's just the victim type of mentality.
Yep.
Look what you guys did to me. You drafted me. Like, you should have known I was a bad husband. You didn't see the signs I was going to punch you? Hello. I used to punch trees.
Which, again, Johnny Manziel did. So, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Whatever, man. It's total BS. Ugh.
He got drafted where he was supposed to get drafted, ladies and gentlemen. And that's just the universal black hole of the NFL. And guess what? That's just what happens. But when you go there, you can go get paid a whole lot of money, like Jarvis Landry, and just live your life.
Sell every Jarvis Landry thing you ever had.
Ugh.
So I'll say he's a low-end wide receiver 2/flex play for the rest of his life. So that's cool, but he's not going to be a top 10 guy. That's over. It's done.
If they get a Sam Darnold?
Doesn't matter with this coaching staff.
How long do you think this coaching staff is going to be around?
Last year.
Yeah. So maybe some, he's got 5-6 prime years left in the NFL.
Do you think the Browns can hire a capable coaching staff and GM and keep them in place?
Yeah, it was a dumb question. I'm really sorry for asking it. I didn't know what to say. And listen, this is when you know a podcast is over. So thanks for Mark. Oh, man. You're ending it, right? Because I definitely am.
All right. And thanks for listening, guys. Hope this was fun. And we will talk at you guys later, probably after the draft. But stay tuned. Charles and I are flying down there for the draft, and we'll have some stuff for you later on. So stay tuned. Appreciate you guys.
Peace.